Alright guys, I'm going to try and make a video real quick about the power steering pump on a Nissan Xterra. This is a 2001, it's a 3.3 liter. This should apply to, I believe, 2000 to 2004 Xterras and probably Nissan Frontiers as well. So step one would be to remove the battery. You need to get in there to get access. Step two would be pulling the belt that goes onto the power steering pulley, which I've already done. How you do that is you take a 14 millimeter and you stick it on this idler pulley that's right below this radiator hose, and you loosen this a couple turns, which allows you to loosen this adjustment nut right there. You're gonna turn that back, I don't know, maybe 10 turns or something to get yourself enough play to pull the belt off the power steering pulley, and then shove it around this radiator hose sideways. Once that's out, you can relieve part of the reservoir by removing this hose down here. It's going to have a pinch clamp on it. Mine had a O-ring hose clamp, yeah, with the 1/4 inch nut on it. But if you have the clamps, just get in there with a pair of pliers, however they have it positioned, and squeeze on it and pull it up, and then pull the hose. I have a little green drain pan thing that I can fold up I got online to direct all the fluid. If not, make sure you just have a good catch pan under there to get everything that's gonna be coming out. Once that's removed, you could pull the container out here for the power steering fluid. You can remove that hose on the bottom and let that drain the rest of the way too. I also pulled the banjo bolt already here for the high pressure line. That was a 24 millimeter socket. It broke pretty easily with that right there. And then you got 2 copper crush washers, one on the top and one on the bottom of the banjo bolt. I'm gonna see if I have matches for these. I bought universal kits because I couldn't find these anywhere locally. So I will come back to you when I'm a little bit further, and I will talk you through the process of removing the power steering pump. I believe there's either 3 or 4 bolts that you have to get through these holes in the pump. And once I remove a few of them, I'll come back on here and let you know what size it is. Alright guys, so from there, you're going to remove the bolt from this bracket, which is going to give you the flexibility here in this radiator hose to move it out of the way to get access to the bolts. I got the first one on the top here through the pulley. There's holes in it. It's a 12 millimeter, and I pulled it out. I cracked it loose with my ratchet there, and then I used my impact gun to remove it the rest of the way. You can do it by hand. I just wanted to be a little quicker here. I don't like being out here late at night doing this. Alright, so there's normally a drip guard, I guess you'd call it, right here, weather guard. So you'll have to remove that. I think it's little pop clips that go into these little holes. You just pop them out. And then that'll give you access to this bolt, and I think the other one too. So let me see if I can focus this. Let me set you down and get you an angle. I don't know if this is going to work. I think you're looking at the idler arm. Well, I'm sorry guys, but yeah, that's going to be what happens there to get that one out, and probably the next one. And then all that we'll have left, I believe, is this line connection here to remove. So I'll get back to you when we get there. I'm going to leave one bolt in it, and then I'll end up pulling that line. Alright guys, so before I pull this out, I want to go over the bolts here. You've got one on the bottom front. It's literally right here through the pulley. It is a 12 millimeter. There's one that you can access from the top. It is also a 12 millimeter. The one on the driver's side of the vehicle or further back here, it's hard to see, but it is a 15 millimeter and it is long. I cracked it with my ratchet and then put it on my impact gun with my 90-degree adapter and slowly backed it out. And now I'm at the point where I'm ready to pull the power steering pump. You actually don't have to pull this off here until you get it out. It just connects to the reservoir line. So I'm gonna yank this thing out of here and I'll get back to you. Alright guys, so I got the pump out. I'm letting it drain out right now. The one that I ordered, they actually sent me the wrong one, but mine was supposed to come with a new pulley and it didn't, so I'm gonna have to pull that off. I'll go over that in a little bit. My new pump, you want to make sure everything looks the same before you start taking it apart. Mine did, other than it not having the pulley on it. But here's the new pump in here, and everything else is the same. I did get new hoses as well. Other than the high pressure line, it's always recommended you replace your hoses. If your power steering pump's bad, your hoses are probably cracking. The other thing I wanted to go over, guys, these washers that I couldn't find anywhere, advanced, Napa, whatever, nobody had them. Nobody said they had them, I guess I should say. Napa told me I could bring my banjo bolt in and they might be able to match it, but I didn't want to take it apart unless I knew I was going to have them. I ended up having to take it apart without knowing for sure, but I bought this performance toolkit. It's a copper washer set, and it contains 6 popular washers, and it just so happens that ours is the 5/8 washer for the banjo bolt, the biggest one in this kit. This was 14 bucks. I think Harbor Freight carries it. I don't know if I said it. Goodyear Ocean Area Tire is the company that I got them off here. It's a Goodyear entity. They're connected with Advanced. So maybe your Advanced Auto Parts might have this. Mine didn't. But that's what you'd need. And also for the refill on the oil, it calls for Dextron or Mercon 3, I believe, which this is a substitute for Dextron 3. So this is what you want to put in the power steering pump. It's going to take a liter of it, or another Nissan approved automatic transmission fluid. So that's it for the moment. I'm gonna get to pulling the gear on this thing, or the pulley, and I'll get back to you with how I'm gonna do that. Alright guys, so how I got my pulley off, I took an extension and I stuck it through here, and then I used this big impact gun to remove the nut on the top while I held the base. It came off fairly easy. Pulled the washer and the nut, and then I grabbed onto the pulley and it just came off. I think you're supposed to have to use a gear puller for this. I'm going to inspect this really good to make sure it's not damaged, because it very well might be. And then I'll get back to you guys if I can keep going here. Alright, thanks. So my kit, again, lacking good parts, did not send me this O-ring. I had to remove it from the old pump and clean it up. So with that on, I can go ahead and put this bracket on. You want to clean this mating surface very good where the O-ring seals at. And then you're good to put that on. Make sure it's facing up so that that bracket can catch for the banjo bolt. Well guys, this, very important. It actually goes on the back of this. Somehow back there. I'll let you know when I get it on how it goes on. Whether it is hook facing up or hook facing down or to the side or whatever. But that's got to be on the back of this through bolt. So you don't give yourself as big of a headache as I do. Alright guys, I am pretty much put back together here. I'm going to go over a couple of details that were pretty important. The bolts that go into the power steering pump, there's two 12 millimeters and the other one's not a 15, it's actually a 14 mil. The 14 mil is the long bolt. The long bolt actually has a weird kind of nut that's welded to that little L bracket. You have to put your hand on that and hold it as you're fishing that long bolt through. Once you do that, you'll be able to get that screwed in. It took me like 3 or 4 hours to figure that out. I took the power steering pump off and found that thing hanging in there. Reconnect all your lines. The banjo bolt gets a copper washer on top and on bottom. 30 foot-pounds, I believe, was the torque setting for that. Everything else, I just went good and tight with it. Other than that, you know, put your hose clamps on all your lines. Put the belt back on. It goes under the idler, over the water pump, around the crankshaft, and then around the power steering. And then you'll want to tighten this bolt down in here to get the tension on the belt again, and then tighten the pulley, the front of it, to lock it in place. Other than that, you still gotta bleed it. I filled this thing up to a little bit above the max line hot, turned it on, went full lock, you'll see that part, and bled all the air out. So yeah guys, that's pretty much it. You'll see the next part in the next clip. Alright guys, so I have twisted the wheel quite a lot. My level's not dropping anymore. Originally I filled it up to the max hot line, and it dropped all the way to the minimum cold line from turning the wheel. And now it's kind of sitting at the cold maximum, right in the middle, and it hasn't really changed. I'll turn the wheel a couple more times just to make sure, but I've done it about, I don't know, 10, 11 times back and forth. Full lock. Full lock. Then take it back. Full lock. A full lock. And it even quieted down a little bit. I might have lost a very small amount. I am leaking though, so I'm gonna have to tighten something up. But yeah guys, that's pretty much it. Alright, I hope it helped.